Am I the a-hole for asking my roommate's wife to wear bottoms around the house? She doesn't wear underwear She doesn't wear underwear under her nightgown and will stay in her nightgown the majority of the day. I've had it. I've watched her ruin another decorative pillow by sitting on it and leaving vaginal discharge and urine on it. I gave her a day to clean it and she pretended it didn't happen. I ended up throwing out the pillow in disgust and bleaching the seating mat underneath it. She then wore the same pee-stained nightgown the next day and I watched her as she lifted it up to sit down bare butt on my furniture. Evicted. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. It's Tiara, and for those who are new, welcome. Today is Reddit Wednesday. As you guys know, I want to do Reddit stories every Wednesday as long as it seems fit. We're going to be going through some stories that pertain roommate drama. Now, I have some roommate experience on my own. When I was in college, I had a roommate for 4 years and thankfully everything was smooth. Nothing crazy really happened to me and I'm thankful. However, I have heard some crazy stories from other people and apparently roommates can get really, really tricky. So we're going to be reading through some crazy roommate drama, and just keep in mind, roommates isn't just in college. It's very normal to room with people afterwards. So let's see what foolishness people had to deal with. Am I the a-hole for refusing to move out even though my roommate is 7 months pregnant? Hi guys, last week my roommate found out she is not only pregnant but 7 months along. She texted me that we had to talk today and I had assumed she would be moving out soon for more space when the baby comes. Instead, she told me I have to move out to make space for the nursery and her baby daddy to move in. Pause. I'm sorry. I understand that when people have kids, their situation changes and the living situation needs to be adaptable so it can be feasible for the baby. But to room with someone and try to kick them out because you're pregnant, it's crazy work. I've never had a kid before, but I would assume if you're the one who's having a kid, you would be the one to move out. Let's keep reading. I'm on a terrible salary and cannot afford anywhere else to live. Plus, she wants me to move out right now so she can prepare for the baby. Even if I wanted to move out now, the apartment rentals in my area are either too expensive or well below living standards, so I don't want to move. So far, I feel like you have every right. If you're the person who's causing the situation to change, meaning having a baby, I just can't understand why you would expect the other person to move. She went absolutely crazy the moment I told her I wouldn't move out because I'm ruining her motherhood experience by not letting her family live together. That is not your responsibility. You got you, the baby, and the baby daddy. It seems like y'all three can go figure it out. I'm just kidding. I do understand not everyone has the best financial situation, so it's not easy to just move out and pick somewhere else to live. I get that, especially with the baby. In this economy, I get it. But you also have to be reasonable. What makes you think it's any different with the roommate? I pay rent here, and my name's on the lease until at least the end of the year. I'm not gonna pull out of the lease, and I told her that if she wants her little family together, that she should move and I'll find someone to have the cheap rent with me. I think that's a fair proposal, especially because your name is on the lease. I think the situation may be a little bit different. If it was the other person's name on the lease and maybe you weren't, then that's a little bit tricky, but you're on the lease and you pay rent. I don't even understand why this is a conversation. That made her start crying and saying how I just want to ruin her life to the point her baby daddy had to console her and tell me to get out of their way already. I've not heard her stop crying since, but I think I'm totally valid that I don't want to leave. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to move out? No. I honestly feel like she's trying to gaslight you into thinking that you're the crazy one and that you're not considerate. Yes, she's pregnant. Yes, she's going through a transition, which may require for her to be in a more ideal situation, but she should have prepped for that. And it's not even like she's 2 months in. She's literally 7 months in, so she's about to pop. Living with a baby is no joke. Maybe she wasn't in a position to prep for this if she just found out, but I feel like her and baby daddy should have made some plans outside of you. That honestly has nothing to do with you. I'm sorry. I would do the same. I wouldn't move. I would like to know your thoughts though. Like, am I crazy for thinking that, or are we all on the same page? Let me know what you think. Am I the a-hole for asking my roommate's wife to wear bottoms around the house? My significant other and I have been putting up with our brother-in-law while he's trying to move back. He's employed and is paying token room and board while him and his wife attempt to sell their house. It's been 6 months so far. My brother-in-law's spouse is late 30s, a larger girl and some health issues. She's visited before and ruined decorative pillows due to having accidents on them, and she likes to sit on our black decorative cushions. See, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. I know everyone's different when it comes to furniture, decorations, but for me personally, that's a no. We're not sitting on decorative stuff. Decorative pillows are not for sitting on. That's what the couch is for. I'm very against doing that because one, it flattens it out. Two, it can make it dull and it's just not gonna look good anymore. For me, it's kind of like wearing shoes in the house. I know some people don't care, but me, we don't wear shoes in the house. And that's just as important as not sitting on the decorative pillows. I understand where the frustration is coming from already, and we're not even halfway through. She's now been spending half of every month, and shouldn't be, in my home as a guest. She doesn't wear underwear right under... She doesn't wear underwear under her nightgown and will stay in her nightgown the majority of the day. I've had it. I've watched her ruin another decorative pillow by sitting on it and leaving vaginal discharge and urine on it. Before anyone starts coming to conclusions, we have to remember they said she has health issues. We have to remember that. However, even though I understand she has health issues, we gotta do something about that. We have to. We need to get some diapers. We need to get a designated pillow if she wants to sit on it. We gotta be able to work around this. Yes, we need to be considerate, but we need to be realistic as well. I gave her a day to clean it and she pretended it didn't happen. I ended up throwing out the pillow in disgust and bleaching the seating mat underneath it. She then wore the same pea-stained nightgown the next day and I watched her as she lifted it up to sit down bare butt on my furniture. Evicted. See, now it's escalated. Now you're doing it on purpose. Because how are you gonna mess up my pillows and then pretend it didn't happen? That's where the issue lies. That's where we cross the line. This is the brother-in-law spouse. So I would say you gotta have a conversation with your spouse so that they can have a conversation with their sibling. Because I understand it might be uncomfortable for you to talk to your in-law, so have your spouse do it. If that was me, gotta go. So we've spoken to her husband in hopes that he can tell her to wear underpants nicely. I'm also considering getting her a box of incontinence pads and leaving it in the bathroom she uses. Am I the a-hole in this? It's disgusting, right? Okay, good. So you did talk to the husband. I honestly think that was the right thing to do in the moment to get some incontinence supplies. For those who don't know, incontinence supplies are supplies used for people who can't control their bladder. So like diapers, pads, things of that nature. But I think that was a good idea. I think it's helpful instead of just complaining about it to actually find the solution. So you had the conversation, you got the supplies. Now, if you did all that, and it keeps happening, then that's a real issue. To answer the question, no, you're not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for moving out mid-lease and stranding my roommate with full rent after his girlfriend keeps accusing me of being creepy? So I've been living with my current roommate for 2 years now. I'm actually subletting and I'm on my second year, which is month to month. But we've had an unofficial verbal agreement that I'd stay until the end of the year. I mean, it's a pandemic. I didn't think I'd move either. Anyways, his girlfriend moved in beginning of this year. It's been a lot. She's obviously had some trauma in the past. I didn't dig, but I believe she was the victim of a home robbery a few years back. Oh gosh, okay. Just for some background, if you don't know what subletting is, just for some context in here. Subletting is when a person is renting out an apartment or a unit, but then they also rent it out to someone else. So you're technically on the lease, but someone is still paying you to move into that apartment. I hope that helps. Well, when she first moved in, my roommate had some ground rules for me so his girlfriend would be more comfortable. She obviously wasn't thrilled about having another roommate. So far, I don't know how I feel about the ground rules just because you're the tenant, you're the one who's living there. So for your roommate to bring in someone else and talk about ground rules, that kind of rubbed me in the wrong direction. But then I understand her history, like you said. I don't know, we're gonna keep reading, but that kind of rubbed me in the wrong way a little bit. He said I couldn't talk to her, like strike up a convo, if he wasn't there because she doesn't want to have to talk to me if she didn't have to. He also said it would be best if we tried not to use the same facilities at the same time. Like if she's cooking in the kitchen, I should wait until she leaves before I grab food, etc. Like, yes, it's strange, but I figured it's his place, so whatever. I'm not trying to befriend her either. I think if it comes down to that, she just needs to live somewhere else. Because what do you mean I can't be in the kitchen if she's cooking? I think it's one thing if he opened it up as a conversation. For example, hey, you understand my girlfriend's past. She would be comfortable if she could have the kitchen to herself while she's cooking. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? But to be like, you can't be in there, it's crazy. You're renting for me. How are you gonna tell me what to do? I just think it's way too complicated. If you have to do all that, then you guys don't need to be living together. Things got worse in recent months because we've all been working from home. It's really hard to avoid someone 24/7. So obviously I slipped up more. One time I came home from Costco and offered her a spare bottle of coconut water I couldn't fit in the fridge. Big mistake. My roommate had to have a talk with me that night about how I should know she would never drink my drinks, and it's weird for me to even offer. I think where I'm tripping out is you guys live together. So you have to have some kind of normal human behavior. It's tough to really have an opinion on this because she has a history. But I feel like because of that, I just don't think it's the best position to be in to live together. But then again, I don't know the situation, so maybe that was the only option. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys are in a tight space, so it's gonna be hard to avoid. The most recent one was when she was watching some Game of Thrones in our living room. I just absentmindedly watched a bit standing behind the couch. I laughed at the scene, which startled her when she looked up and saw me standing behind her. I got an earful from my roommate about how I need to stop creeping on her now that I'm home all the time. That's a lot of accusations. Just based off what you're saying, I feel like that's an accusation that I could not live with. As a woman, I understand people are creepy. People do things that are weird and will make me uncomfortable. However, if I feel that way, I would be very cautious of who I would live with. So if I feel that way, then I would not put myself in a position where I am living with someone who makes me so uncomfortable to the point where we can't be in the same kitchen together. But that's just me. Long story short, my friend just had a place open up that's cheap and I'm gonna move. I told my roommate and he's pissed because of our unofficial agreement and how he's probably gonna pay full rent for a while. I feel bad, but yeah, I didn't say I was gonna move, but I'm also pretty sick of both of him and his girlfriend. However, I feel kind of guilty because I agreed to their weird rules before all this started back when I thought it would be okay. Okay, well, that's where it's tricky. I actually kind of forgot you guys were friends. I find it interesting that you guys consider each other friends, but you have to do all this. I think this would make more sense if they were strangers, they didn't know each other, but this is your friend. The only thing that I can rationalize is the history of the girlfriend, but I don't think it's fair for him to have to pivot around that. You're still going out of your way to move so you can make them feel comfortable. So for him to turn around and be mad at you, it's like you can't have both, but you definitely said that she would be okay with it. So I can also understand why he's pissed. It seems like the situation just escalated more than anticipated. I do think it kind of sucks that you moved last minute and the roommate had to cover the rent by himself, but I wouldn't say you're the a-hole because now you're getting accused for something that doesn't seem as creepy as it is being portrayed. I can see both sides, I really can. Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate his girlfriend can't stay over every weekend after she ate all my food? Again. So I own my own apartment and rent out the second room to a buddy of mine. Everything was cool at first, but lately his girlfriend has been staying over every weekend. I wouldn't mind so much if it wasn't for the fact that every time she's here, she helps herself to my stuff, mainly my food. That's thief. We can't play about stealing food, especially in this day and age. Stealing food is never okay, but food is very expensive now. You can't even get eggs under $8 anymore. I meal prep for the week and I buy my own groceries. It's not like I don't share sometimes, but I notice that every weekend she's here, a bunch of my food is gone. Snacks, leftovers, even stuff like my eggs and bread, just gone. See, that's what I'm talking about. She's targeting the expensive stuff. Eggs is crazy. You take one egg, I'm calling the cops. I feel like that should definitely be like a criminal charge. I've tried hinting at it, like casually mentioning how much food I go through, but it keeps happening. So here's a problem. You can't be passive about this stuff. If you see someone stealing your stuff, you can't just say, oh, I wonder where my food went. Just say it. Why did you take my food? Most times, I feel like if you just confront the situation as is, it probably won't happen again. I'm not even trying to defend her. I think what she's doing is wrong, but I do think being passive is not gonna get the job done. Last weekend, I had a really long week at work, so I treated myself to some nice takeout and planned to save half of it for lunch the next day. The next morning, I opened the fridge and it's gone. I would be so pissed. It's one thing to take my snacks. I already don't think that's okay, but you're taking my leftovers from takeout? Oh, that's a whole nother level. You would never be invited back again. I texted my roommate and he said, oh, my girlfriend was hungry, so she ate it. Sorry, man. Yeah, no. You would have to just pay me at this point. It's one thing if your roommate didn't know what she was doing, but he knows and he's defending it. And I forgot he's renting out that room. Evicted. I'm not trying to be harsh, but you can't just be stealing stuff and thinking there's no consequences. If I was renting from someone, I would be too scared to steal from them. I mean, I wouldn't steal from anyone, period, but just in this situation alone, that's real risky. That was the last straw. I told him we needed to talk and said that while I'm okay with her visiting sometimes, she can't keep staying over every weekend and eating my food. I told him it's not fair, especially since she's not contributing to groceries or utilities. He got defensive, saying that since he pays rent, she should be able to stay over whenever, and I'm making a big deal out of just a few snacks. Evicted. No, that's not how this works. The one thing I will agree on is, yes, he does pay rent, so he should be able to have whoever he wants over. It doesn't seem like the issue was ever that the girlfriend was coming over. It's because she's eating the food. So for you to be like, I can have whoever over that I want because I pay rent, as a response is crazy. The only reason I got to that point is because she is stealing your food. I stood my ground and told him she needs to stop coming over so often unless they start buying their own food and being more considerate. Now he's pissed at me and I'm getting the cold shoulder. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down after his girlfriend kept eating all my food? No, I don't think so. Honestly, I just think you set the boundaries. She either needs to buy her own groceries and stop eating my stuff, or she needs to stop coming over. I think anyone who has a right mind would be on the same page. If she was hungry, she could have just simply asked, hey, do you mind if I have some? Maybe you would have said no, I don't know. But I feel like that would have been a better route to go than eat all your food. Because now nobody wants you over, except your man. People can't afford getting their food eaten. Groceries are expensive. Well, that's gonna be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully we learned some lessons here, and I really hope none of you guys can relate to any of this, because that's a little too much. But I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining, for tuning in and watching. Again, for anyone who is new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you like what you saw, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel to be a part of the YouTube crew. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll see y'all on the flip side. T is out.